You're listening to Inside Lebo, a podcast giving you an inside look at Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, produced by Mount Lebanon's Public Information Office.
Hello and welcome to Inside Lebo. I'm your host, Assistant Municipal Manager and Municipal Planner Ian McMeans.
And I'm Rachel Windsor, Mount Lebanon's Assistant Public Information Officer and the Senior Editor of Mount Lebanon Magazine. And today's episode is brought to you by Trouvers Jewelry. So we are joined by Andrew McCreery, Finance Director for Mount Lebanon, and he's going to walk us through the municipality's 2026 Manager's Recommended Budget. Always good to have you back, Andrew.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So the first question right off the bat that all of our listeners are obviously very interested in is, will there be a tax increase for 2026?
Oh, that was a slow pause. No, there will not be a tax increase. So the manager's recommended budget was released on November 1st. All service levels that are presented within the budget are able to be supported by the current tax structure, which is at 4.5 mils for real estate tax. 0.8% of the 1.3% you pay in earned income tax, being the two largest general fund tax revenue sources, will remain the same in 2026.
That's great news and very good that our financial position is in good shape, that we don't have to raise taxes this year. So for listeners who might not be familiar, can you explain a little bit about how the budget process works here in Mount Lebanon?
Yeah, so we're lucky that we have a conscientious commission and manager that we really pay attention to the budget all year. But in earnest for the next year, we really start in May timeframe. This starts with the planning office, in which our budget's separated essentially into two parts. You have the operating, which is the biggest service level driven portion of the budget, and then you also have the capital portion of our budget. That starts with our capital improvement plan, in which department directors in May start putting together a 5-year plan of projected projects that are capital in nature, meaning they're over $100,000. They're going to last longer than 2 years and other certain criteria. So those start to get planned out in May, June timeframe. That's released to the commission and for the public August 1st. So while that's being done and published, we start in July in earnest, starting the operating budget. We do a couple things for the operating budget. We do a fee schedule, so we do anything outside of taxes that we require a fee for. Things, examples being inspection fees, advertising fees for the magazine, and so on and so parking fees, and a whole host of other fees. Those are also on the website as well. Then each individual department starts looking at their various service levels and functions that they do. So I'll give you an example we did last night, which was recreation, right? Recreation has 5 cost centers. They look at each cost center and break it down into how the services they're going to provide, how you assign costs to them. So they start doing that in July and August. We start moving into department meetings with the finance department specifically, and the finance department eventually collects it all together. My department collects all the information from all the different various departments and delivers it to the manager in early September. We deliver the operating and capital portions of the budget to the manager. The manager has a couple weeks to review it. We go back and forth. We create a big notes section that's delivered to the various departments for questions and answers that the finance department can answer wasn't discussed during our time frame. And then we go to final print in mid-October to then release on November 1st. Then the real fun begins. So, as you can see, it's already a long process. We've started this back in May. Now we're in the November timeframe. So we've been talking about 2026 for a while. So come November, we have budget discussion sessions that are workshop related. So it's an informal, kind of setting where we talk all things budget, whether it be operating, the different functions we talked about, fee schedule, capital, various programs and initiatives that have happened. It can go all over the place, but it's based on, things that are impactful within the budget. We have 3 to 4 of those workshop sessions that's open to the public, of course, but it's just a discussion, so no public comment. Public comment is at the 2 public hearings for the budget. One occurs in November and one occurs in December. And then finally, once all those discussions and workshops are done, on the last workshop, we typically go over what things they want to fund, don't want to fund, want to add, and those types of things given the constraints of our budget. and how they want to do it. Finally, in December, they do pass the budget at the first meeting in December. Well, there's usually only one meeting in December, but they do pass that budget in December. So that's really the budget cycle. Now, just as a side note, we review the budget all year. So there's various points in the year in which we advise the commission, whether it be year-end financials. We say, okay, hey, this is where we ended up for the prior year. Any of the surplus, would you like to do anything with it? That's a budget type item. We also say, hey, as certain things arise during the year, we need to make budget amendments and those types of things. Depending on whether we have an influx of revenue that we didn't know was coming, an example being grants. If we receive a grant we weren't expecting. In addition, we have expenditures in which they're way higher than we were expecting. So we need to make sure that the budget is reflective of that, and the commission does approve a budget amendment eventually. So throughout the year. So these are things that the budget is always being looked at, but that primary May through December timeframe is for the next year's budget.
And for those who might be interested, the budget hearings that Andrew mentioned are all available on the municipality's YouTube channel. It's at MTL Meetings, so you can search for that on YouTube and watch back any of those budget hearings and hear some of the in-depth discussion that happens about each department's service levels.
So, Andrew, what would you say are the biggest priorities and investments in the 2026 recommended budget?
Yeah, I think there's a couple areas that we need to focus on. One is our employees. So I think the commission and the manager focus on the importance of our employees, which is our greatest asset we have in this municipality. So a couple things happened within 2025 that are really setting up for 2026. One is we completed a salary study to really benchmark our employees against other municipalities of comparable size and type. So we completed that, and we're making those adjustments per the commission direction. So that's number one. Number two, we were able to secure a contract negotiation with the police. So that was a negotiated contract, which is great news. So we're really securing and setting up for the future, as we have a couple of contracts coming up in the next couple of years. So we're really trying to set our employees to make sure that we have the best that we can offer the employees. So that's number one. Number two, our continued infrastructure replacements. So our street reconstruction program, our sanitary sewer that is continually getting bigger due to some consent order, which is a whole different story, but we're continuing to invest in our sewer infrastructure, as well as our storm sewer infrastructure to handle stormwater as well. So those are continued, well over $8 million, in those types of infrastructure things is really what we're focusing on now, and have continued to do so. And then finally, we are investing in another bond issue in 2026. So this is infrastructure for our facilities, specifically recreation facilities. So I can outline those projects for you. So we have a project, the Clint Seymour Field, is to add lighting at that field, as well as replace the lights at Middle Field, as well as some fencing at that field. We're also replacing the field turf, which was replaced or was added and installed in 2014. So it's well beyond its useful life, and will be replaced in 2026. We'll add some parking down on Cedar Boulevard at the end of the field. I guess that's the southern end of the field. So we're contributing towards the library revitalization project. So another community asset that we'll be investing in as well as Sunset Hills Park Phase 2, which is also known as Brafferton Field. So we'll be installing a playground and some parking down there to help to alleviate some of the parking issues and upgrade the playground down in that facility as well. Another project we're doing is the Activate Uptown Phase 1, which is the LRT tunnel between Washington Road down to Parse Way. So we're going to be investing in those recommended projects from 2025 that we completed that study this year. So that's another project we're doing. So again, continue our employees and making sure they're set up, infrastructure, and the facility improvements that we've identified. So those are the three kind of large areas that we're working on this year.
Great. And on the operations side, how's the municipality handling things like staffing and maintenance costs? Are there any increases or constraints as far as just day-to-day operations?
There were no recommended personnel increases, right? So we're not recommending any there. But where we're finding in operations is an increase in utilities. So we're having an increase in utilities. We're also having an increases in insurance. Both property and employment benefit insurance. So those are large things that we've had to deal with the constraints. Luckily, we have revenues to cover, and I think we're going to cover those in a little bit.
Yeah, actually, that's the next question. So tell us about the revenue. Are there any big changes that will impact the budget?
Big changes? No, there are no big changes, but we're seeing positive trends, right? So earned income tax, our largest revenue source in the general fund, right now through 10 months is tracking at 7.5% increase over prior year. That's fantastic. If we can hold that level, that'll really set us up for 2026. Next, we have our real estate transfer tax, which is projected to be over the budget this year of $1.8 million. So that's showing our housing stock and housing prices are continuing to maintain or increase year over year. So that's a positive. Other funds, we will have an increase in our sewage rate due to a 7% increase in the sewer processing fees that are charged to us by the Allegheny County Sanitary Authority. We'll also have an increase to our trash collection fee as well as our stormwater fee. So some of those things, we've prescribed those things for 5 years, so those will also increase as well. But any big, large swings, we're not noticing any large swings in revenue. We did have some one-time grants that were received in 2025 that will not be received in 2026, but those were dedicated to projects in prior years, so that won't be any big swing to the 26 budget.
Great. And so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will talk a little bit more with our finance director about the 2026 budget.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry? At Truvers Jewelry, you're not just a customer, you're part of the family. Locally owned by Mount Lebanon residents Rob and Kay Truver, Truvers has specialized in exquisite craftsmanship and custom jewelry design for over 30 years. Rob is an expert goldsmith, ensuring your jewelry is created with the utmost skill and care. Whether you're looking for something timeless or one of a kind, Truvers delivers it all. Visit us at the corner of West Liberty and Piermont Avenue or check us out online at truvers.com. At Truvers, it's personal.
Welcome back to Inside Lebo. We're continuing our conversation with Andrew McCreery about the 2026 budget for Mount Lebanon. So Andrew, when it comes to tough trade-offs, what were some of the hardest decisions faced when crafting this budget?
I think, for crafting the budget, that's the manager's job, right? So I won't speak for the manager, but I will say what I observed is we've done a lot of planning in the last 3 years, maybe 4 years. We do our consistent planning year over year, capital improvement plan, budgeting, those types of things. But we've completed some large projects and are in the midst of some large planning projects. So just as a recap for those that may not know, we did a comprehensive plan that was completed in 2023?
January of 24, yeah.
January of 24 it was completed. We've done a Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We've done a main park and recreation feasibility study. We've done a parking structural analysis study. We're in the middle of an active transportation plan. We have a zoning ordinance and SALDO. I don't know what all it stands for, but we've done a lot of planning. So what I'm trying to say is that we have a lot of projects that have been identified, and we would love to really do all of them at once, but that's just not feasible. So how do you prioritize those things? So one of the things that I think we can point to is how we've tackled certain things, and that becomes hard at some points, but you really see it when you do it year over year, is our park signage project. So within the Parks Master Plan, it was identified that identifying our parks was an important thing, and we needed to have. And our Parks and Facilities Coordinator, Phil Avolio, has done a great job of layering that over multiple years so that funding, as it becomes available, we're ready to move. And I think proof positive, if you go into any of our parks now, it's clearly identified in a beautiful, nice sign. It's all uniform. You know what you're looking at when you see it from park to park. And those are the types of things that we try to look at year over year, but it's hard to say, okay, hey, it's 300,000, for that. Well, we don't have 300,000 this year for that, for a number of reasons. It could be fiscal, right? You just don't have the funding right now, but it'd also be timing. So there's certain things that you need to wait on. There's other things that are, different plans, right? Sidewalk plans. You want to put every sidewalk we have identified. We'd love to put them all in, but we have active transportation plans, and we have other funding constraints that, hey, we might need to just wait. So those are the types of tough decisions that have to be made, and that's what they pay the manager to do.
If I could just add in a little bit as well. Obviously, I'm not the manager, but kind of speaking.
You have a manager in your name. I don't.
But I think one of the other things, if folks look through the budget document on the municipal website, it's under the public documents section on mountlebanon.org. But starting on page 21, it lists all of our service level rankings, and a few pages later there's a big black line, and that's basically the point where all of our revenues essentially cover up to that point in the budget. And the things that fall just below the line are kind of the things that the municipal manager identified as, these are the things I would fund if we had more money. Now, the caveat to that is that when the manager makes the budget, he is not allowed to use unassigned fund balance to balance the budget, but the commission is allowed to make assignments from that unassigned fund balance. So one of the things that happens during the process of the budget hearings that we talked about in the first half of the show is the commission will identify certain things that are below the line and not recommended for funding that they would like to use some of that unassigned funds for. So I think one of the challenges that the manager has is, what does the manager put above the line to recommend for funding, and then what are those projects, like for example the sidewalk improvement project with a budget number of close to 350,000, that probably if you added up the 10 or 11 items that are right above the line, they wouldn't come to that 350,000 number. So when the manager's looking at it and says, okay, I can recommend funding this one thing, or I can leave that for the commission to decide to use unassigned funds for and say, hey, this was important. I'm going to put it right below the line and say, if I had more money, I would fund this, and kind of show the commission, hey, this is something that I think is a good idea. We just don't have the financial capacity to fund this, or the manager doesn't because he can't use unassigned funds, but the commission can. So I think that's one of the challenges and the trade-offs kind of when the management team puts the budget together, and those last couple line items and service levels that wind up quote unquote above the line, that what do we have left in our revenue structure to be able to fund versus then what are the ones we want to signal to the commission of, hey, we as the management team can't use unassigned funds to balance the budget, but if you want to spend some of your unassigned funds, here are the items that we think would be good to fund.
And to build off of that, I mean, I'll chime in here just a little bit. So albeit rare that it happens, but the commission also has the ability to say, I don't like that. I don't like what you funded. It's rare, but it can happen. And so that's what the budget workshops are for, is to really air out, hey, why are we doing this? How are we doing this? And it really provides all the layers to a budget that you need. It's all done out in public. You can see exactly all. You can go watch it for your viewing pleasure if you'd like. But we do a good job of making sure that everybody's aware of what's being funded for next year.
Great. And so just to add on to that, what does the municipality do to help keep its long-term fiscal health strong? Are there safeguards or strategies in place? You talked about things are trending well, but what kind of safeguards do we have in place?
Yeah, we always protect the downside with conservative budgeting. We estimate expenses to be a little bit higher to make sure that we're covered. We have to estimate revenues to be a little bit lower. Like I said, we had 7.5%. We're trending through 10 months. We're budgeting 4.5%. Right, so we're not taking the high side on the revenue side, and we're not taking the low side on expenditures. That really helps us year over year. And as I mentioned before, while not part of this process, it is something we're always thinking about, is to consistently think about the budget as we move along through the year. So it's not, hey, I pick up the budget in October after everybody's done their work, and then it's the first time I'm thinking about what's the fiscal health next year. We're doing it all along. We're always having conversations with departments of what are things are coming up. So we keep that open dialogue to make sure that there's nothing to surprise any of us. And departments do a great job of communicating. And I'd stack up our budget process and our communication on expenditures against anybody. And that's why over the tenure that I've been here with the communication that is here, that's why we're in good shape.
And what should residents know about how this budget will affect them in terms of services, amenities, or any other changes?
Yeah, that's a good question. So services, it's your services are funded as they are today. So I think service-wise, we do a great job of service delivery throughout our entire organization, from police to public information office to our planning department, so on and so forth, not just because you're sitting in the room. But I think amenities this was mentioned at a budget workshop, is amenities. There will be the changes to the Clint Seymour and Middle Fields. So amenities are going to change down there in the fact that, or it's projected that they're going to change. With the lighting, new turf, and a parking lot being put in, there's going to be disruption to fields, right? So that is going to be a disruption, but ultimately we're trying to achieve more playing time and more fields, which is a priority of the Parks Master Plan, Parks and Recreation Plan. Second is the library. They're part of they have a 3-year plan that's close to $5 million of renovating that building and bringing it more to the 2025 service delivery that libraries are being expected to have. Which is a great, and we're here to help funding that. So there will be some disruptions at the library as well, but that amenity eventually will be upgraded to where we'll be servicing it for years to come.
Great. And then what can residents do to stay informed and provide input on the budget? I know you've mentioned a couple of the public hearings coming up. So by the time this airs, I think we'll already be past the first public hearing. So it'll be the December meeting then?
Yeah, December 9th will be the next public hearing. So today that we're doing this podcast, we will have our first one tonight, which is November 11th. Will be our first public hearing, but that does not mean that you can't come to the second public hearing and make sure your voice is known for anything that you see within the budget. If you have any questions or comments, would like to put some information in that goes into the budget folder, so to speak, we do have a dedicated email address for it. It's lebobudget@mountlebanon.org. That goes directly to me, the manager, the assistant manager sitting across the desk here from me, and my assistant to make sure that it's facilitated to the right people, the commission and its various department heads as well. You can directly communicate it with us there. In addition, on the website, we do have a full page of all things budget. So feel free to check that out, which also has all the workshop sessions and an outline of all of the budget, so you can have you pick and choose your sections if you'd like to see them as they come forward.
Awesome. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for your time and your insights. And for our listeners, like he said, if you want to dig deeper into the full budget for yourself, visit Mount Lebanon Municipality's Finance Department page online and look for the 2026 Manager's Recommended Budget. And that's at mtlebanon.org. Thanks again.
Great, and that's all for this edition of Inside Lebo, sponsored by Trouvers Jewelry, produced by Marcia Morgenstern, with music by Drew Monyo and graphics by Amy Robinson. Be sure to subscribe for future episodes, and we'll see you next time with more from Mount Lebanon.
Thanks for listening to Inside Lebo, produced by Mount Lebanon's Public Information Office. Learn more about all things Lebo at mountlebanon.org or by following our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages.